pregnancy. And naturally, this makes it very difficult, not only for her, but for the health professionals caring for her, because people may suddenly arrive before they have to give birth, or may disappear and you're trying to give them treatment. So it actually poses health risks for people. If they are refused asylum and made destitute, then that can lead to lots of problems with being homeless, and this fear that they're going to be picked up and detained at any time. And being kept in detention can feel like prison, and they don't know how long they may be there for. The biggest fear, though, is the deportation and being sent back to where they came from. Go. Doesn't like me. Okay. I'm going to skip over this one and that one. Okay. City of Sanctuary. We are about trying to make places that are proud to welcome asylum seekers and refugees and include them in all their activities. When I started my post 18 months ago, we had about 12 groups around the country. Now we've got 60. It's just exploded, it's incredible. And it's great that people are really interested now. Within the cities, we've now divided into subgroups, or streams as we call them, so that people with a similar interest can come together and think, how could we be welcoming and inclusive? And here's some examples of the streams that we have. And today I want to focus on health and maternity because of where you come from. Okay. The maternity stream actually started here in Leeds. Emily and I were part of that when I worked for the Refugee Council. I was lucky enough to work with amazing volunteers, and we befriended asylum seeking refugee women. We met every month and we discussed the issues that we found with these women. And we were shocked. I couldn't believe that we would have pregnant women destitute on the streets of Leeds, even up to 39 weeks of pregnancy for one of them. With the women we supported, we have 6 women who were suicidal, and over half the women we supported had been through or were going through domestic abuse. And a lot of these issues would have remained hidden if it had not been for the trusting relationship that had been formed between the volunteer and the person that they were supporting. And by developing that, the volunteer often helped them to access help that they wouldn't have had otherwise. We thought we've got to do something about it. These people don't have a voice. So we put a call out to health professionals, to commissioners, to researchers, to come together to see if we could do something. And that's how we formed the maternity stream, the Sanctuary. It was the women were at the centre of it, and I'm delighted to say that Emily is our chair of the maternity stream, and over half our trustees are asylum seeking refugee women. It's a forum for them to have a voice, to share their experiences, but then for that to be listened to, and to hopefully to change policy and practice. We've also created an award, which I'll go into a bit later, I think. As well as the maternity stream, we have a health stream in Sanctuary. And again, this started in Leeds, and there's some people in the audience here who are part of this. And it's the same sort of thing, but instead of being just maternity, on a bigger whole of health. We raise awareness and networking and share good practice, and we promote Sanctuary Awards. And we provide support for people to go for these and have quarterly meetings. Here's an example of Bradford School of Health. They received a health award earlier this year, and in order to get it, any applicant has to show evidence, written evidence, of 3 key principles. One, that they've embedded a culture of welcome and inclusion for asylum seekers and refugees within their community, that they've learnt about asylum issues, and that they are willing to share this with others. 3 key principles that we have for all our Sanctuary Awards, whether it actually be for a school, a theatre, a health practice, midwifery practice, whatever. The evidence is given in and it's assessed by a peer group, and that will consist of an asylum seeker or refugee, somebody from the local City of Sanctuary group, and someone connected with the field of the award. So if it's health, it'll be someone connected with health, for example. And then we will give out a certificate at an award ceremony. We've actually, haven't given out the award yet, but Leeds Institute of Medical Education have just been unofficially awarded the award, and we'll receive that in a few weeks' time. And we've had evidence just submitted from York Street Practice. So we're doing well in these. Okay, these are just some things to share with you from an amazing report from Doctors of the World. I don't know if you've seen it, but I really love it because it's quite easy to read, and I'm not a medic. But it does actually show a lot of what's happening. Of the people they saw in London, 3/4 are living below the poverty line. 83% of people who were not registered with a GP. Now that's shocking. 6% living in unstable accommodation, 11% pregnant women, and 6.5 years is the average length of time in the UK before they access services. So we're doing something wrong. And what they found, that these people were actually very vulnerable people who needed help who weren't getting it. I won't go through all the figures, but you can see that 39% had at least one chronic condition. And you'll see for the registration that GPs are not always letting people register when they should do. And they should register them if they are in the catchment area and there are spaces. But actually, often they ask for documentation which the people don't have, like a passport, maybe a benefits form. They're not entitled to benefits, so they don't have the documentation and they can be turned away. And 50% of the clients were children living under the poverty line, 44% experienced violence. Access to maternity care, there's a report by Lewis in 2007 which showed that 12% of maternal deaths in the UK are to asylum-seeking refugee women, even though they only make up 0.32% of the population. Now that's appalling. And they found 2/3 didn't attend for antenatal appointments until the second trimester, when the aim for maternity is that they should be seen in the first 12 weeks. 50% had less than the care that they were supposed to have, and look at this, nearly 1/3 were billed for maternity care for up to £6,000, even after their baby had died. How shocking is that? This quote here from the report. I'm a lesbian, I had a forced marriage, which is why I'm pregnant. I had to flee for my life. At the hospital here, they gave me an estimate for the cost of my delivery, up to £9,793. And that's just last year. And I think this is something we've really got to look at, because this is what we're being asked to do here. But if women have no money to pay, what are they meant to do? And is that going to encourage them to access services? They should always be treated as a necessary care. But actually, if they're threatened with these bills, they're unlikely to go and see people. And the trouble is, if they get the bills and they don't pay them, even if they've had, say, limited leave to remain, when it comes for the application to have that extended, if they have unpaid bills, that can count against them when applying. So giving birth actually penalises women. Does that make sense? Okay. So they recommend, and I really like these recommendations, so I hope we could adopt, that full access to primary, emergency and other essential care for everybody living in the UK, exemptions from healthcare charges for pregnant women and children living in the UK, that the NHS information should not be shared with the Home Office. Access treatment should never be used as a means of immigration enforcement, and that health professionals should be supported to take care of parents regardless of their administration status. Do we want our GPs, our midwives, asking people can they pay before they treat them? How does that fit in with your oath of actually providing care? So how could you help? You could smile. I thought this was interesting. At a maternity conference we had, midwives asked women who'd been in amazing films that we made, what if they could do one thing, what would it be? And they said smile. And I think a smile says a lot, and it doesn't cost anything, but it has to be genuine, and they know if you mean it. And it's actually, I was sitting next to a midwife at the time who worked in, she says, I admit, if it's late at night, I'm on the ward and someone comes in and they don't speak English and they've got complications, I sigh. And I think this is going to be a tough one. And I could understand where she was coming from. But after hearing the women's stories, she said, now I understand more where they're from, and I will smile and I'll make that effort. Provide holistic care. So look for the whole person, not just the physical needs. I find with lots of women I work with who are pregnant, they can't think about giving birth if they don't know if they've got a roof over their head that night. It's not the priority. And often those things is what we need to sort out first before we can help with medical conditions. Challenge preconceptions and charging. There's many campaigns to actually, there's like a dignity in pregnancy campaign that you could be part of. Maybe as health professionals to challenge this idea of charging people and thinking about who you treat. I'm sorry, this is an old presentation, so it talks about a couple of meetings we've been having in Leeds that we've been trying to have public meetings to get people together to work to have an answer. And they've been, but we're still working on those. If you go to this website, then you can find out different ways to help. But what I should have had in here, and Sam might tell me off, wherever she is, we are actually hosting a conference in the 27th of November in Leeds about the NHS meeting the needs of all. Now, we are really aiming this particularly at health professionals. We're limited space, so we would love to have representatives from different organisations. So if you are interested in that, please come and see Sam or I afterwards. Okay, I think that will be enough for me for now. And what I'd like to do is to hand over to, who wants to go first? Diaco wants to go first and to share some of her story about accessing health in the UK.
Welcome. My name is Diaco. I'm originally from South Africa, and I'm a married woman with 4 children, 19, 17, and 10, and 6. My husband, when I came here, I came as a spouse visa. My husband is Sika Salaman, he was given 5 years, and I'm 17 years in this country, and still haven't got anything at all. His 5 years was expired, and then we've been in and out of solicitors trying to get a stay here. And my son is 19 years old. He was given this year earlier under the private life because he's 19 years old. And I have an 18-year-old daughter who was refused. And I have a 10-year-old daughter who is in the process of getting a British passport. We are still waiting. We're supposed to go for the tribunal. It's been stressful, a lot of stress in the family because no one is working and we are at home, all of us, beside me, trying to volunteer, keep myself busy.
So what effect has it had on your health?
6 years ago, I developed diabetic, and I developed the Foucault's Calvaire, which it removes the hair of the head. And it leaves the scar, the hair can't grow anymore, and it really put me down. I don't feel good anymore. I have to use the wigs all the time. And my son is supposed to start university. He has to quit because he was given 2.5 years, which is limited, no funds, nothing. And my daughter ran home because of stress, peers, these friends, seeing what she's supposed to be doing and she's not going through those things. And it's a lot of stress. My husband suffers from diabetic type 1, using 3 different insulin in a day, every day. And me, myself, I'm type 2, as I said before.
So how would you feel if you had to pay for your medication?
It's hard because we are not working at all. And a few weeks ago, I was told that I have to pay my prescription, and I didn't know that. And I went back to the doctor and asked her, why am I supposed to pay prescription? Because this, what I have is permanent. It's not like what is coming and going. So she told me that I was supposed to ask ages ago, which we don't know that we're supposed to do that. Where I'm coming from, we pay for our medication. So if she asked me, she told me that I was supposed to ask her for the certificate for medicine, something. And we don't know, you go pharmacy to collect the medicine and then you've been sent back that you cannot get your medicine unless if you produce that certificate thing. It's really hard.
And what about the social worker? How's that?
Social workers, they are helping me under the Section 17, which is they're helping the children, but not parents anyway. Other way, they're still helping me because I'll eat from that, obviously. But again, it's the trust we are building with them. If there's no trust, again, this is another thing. A few weeks ago, I was on my way going to Dales, when I get the call that the children money was about to stop. And the reason was because it happens, I confessed to the lady when she came to me, asked me what is going on with my case. And then when I tell her that my case, the solicitor is looking for this amount for the passport and the case for one person, and then my case again has to separate money with the family. And she asked me, how am I paying that? I told her that.
I do believe that is the fire alarm.
No, wait.
My understanding is we weren't due a test.
No,
It is a test. Put that in just to check that you've been listening earlier on. Of course, so I shall hand you back.
sorry.
So she asked me those questions, and then I explained to her that I've been going to one stop, which is Paphras, to get some food parcel and the vouchers. And that vouchers I exchange, instead of using those vouchers, I use it for the children food, and then I'll take the money that is being given to the children to pay towards my legal fees, because I'm not entitled to legal aid. I've been through legal aid so many times to the extent of like no more. So the solicitor, the social worker went back to whoever is in charge for that and told them that I'm using the children money, which means I don't need that money because I'm using it for different things, not for the children. So we're threatened to be, the money to be stopped.
Okay, so you're actually saying that you trusted her, you're sharing what you're doing, and I know Diako, her children come first for everything. And so she will get food parcels, give them food, and use a bit of that money for her family. But then that trust, the social worker turns around and says the money's not needed. Now how is that going to affect families? Fortunately, we managed to get it turned around. But you just think, you know, how can you expect people to trust you if you can turn around like that? I don't think that's a very hard. Okay. Okay, I think I've had the 5 minutes, so we might need to move on. Is that all right to come and hear from them?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily, and I'm from Zimbabwe. My asylum seeking case has been one of the longest one. To be exact, mine was 12 years, 2 months. And during that time, I didn't get any help, any support. The reason was being that my asylum claim, I made it when I was here. So once you don't claim the asylum at the port of entry, you are sometimes getting Section 4, but I couldn't get the Section 4 because the first time they got me, I was already in the country. So during that time, my struggle started. All the hopes, as the lady said, that sometimes we got the hope and the past and the future. I didn't have any of the future because each and every day, I didn't know what was going to happen tomorrow. So to plan for the tomorrow, let alone for next month or next year, was non-existing in my life. And while I was going through this, my loved ones were dying, which they were even scattered. Some of them, they were in South Africa, some they were still in Zimbabwe. So when I went to the Home Office and said, please send me back wherever you could, they told me we can't because we don't know where we are going to send you. We don't have any papers for South Africa or Zimbabwe. So I was here, I had to walk every week to go to the Home Office for signing. And then I got sick, I couldn't walk, my knees were swollen. When I went to the doctors, unfortunately, I'm sure maybe he didn't have a good day that day. He said, oh, you are here to strain our economy. Why you haven't registered even before, which was a shock to me. So when he asked me, he said I shouldn't walk because the weight is putting the strain on my knees because I've got a type of arthritis that they haven't put a name. Unfortunately, this year they finally put a name. They say psoriasis, arthritis, which it just inflames the joints. They said maybe I've done something. So I was in a mental state and I started self-harming. When I went to the doctor, he would ask me, how are you? I would just say, I'm fine. Just, how are you? So it couldn't help me because I couldn't explain how I really was and how I was feeling. So the help that I got from the drop-ins, they were the one who made the referrals for me. And then when I got that referral, they started now to realize that I was having mental problems because I was now, because of the stress of the home office, self-harming, and even going through much stress that I wanted to kill myself. So I was suicidal. So all those things, they were not spotted by the health officials, apart from the charity organization that I was going to them. They were the ones who made the referrals. So the awareness that I've been doing, they are of a different kind of awareness, because what I have realized is not that sometimes people, they don't want to listen, it's that they do not know. Once they know things, they're changing. So our appeal is that whenever you are meeting the asylum seekers or refugees, sometimes things are not what they seem to be. Whenever they come, or whenever we come, when we say we are fine, we are not really fine. We are just saying we are fine because we don't know how to say, and we don't trust that if we tell you what we really feel, we are going to go and tell the Home Office. As Tiago has said, once you say really what you are doing, then the thing will be turning against what you've just said. So that is why sometimes when we are talking with the health officials, we are not telling exactly what is going on, even that we are suicidal or we have a mental problem, because we think they are going to come and take our children. They are going to say we are not capable of looking after our children because of our mental state. So that trust, even though we know we love our children, we are afraid that they are going to be taken away from us because we are not stable enough to look after them. So we don't have trust with the health professionals as asylum seekers. And because we are not used to the system, sometimes the terminology itself, we can use the wrong terminology and then it will backfire against us. Our health is more important than the children's health, but we feel like it's not taken into consideration what we are going through. The system that is happening, it makes us to go through the things that everybody will not go through. Like for instance, as I was saying, in my case, I was given 2 years only, 2.5 years. I've been given this leave to remain, but I don't have recourse to public funds. So I'm expected to pay, and I'm expected to train before I can work. So there is always a barrier for me to continue with what I want to do, because I've not been working for 12 years. So how am I going to pay for my training, because I cannot be given any funds to continue with the training. So that's all the things that I always come and tell people that they're happening, because some of them, they are hidden. They are not really known that are happening. Thank you so much.